اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره وقداره العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين، أفضل الصلاة وتم تسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن هذا السادة التابعين علماء عاملين وأئمة أربعين مجتهدين مقلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، الحمد لله رب العالمين. We're back to the Maliki Fiqh series featuring Imam Muhammad Abdul Amin. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And we continuing with the Umdat's of Shaykh Uthman and Fodio. Tagadam Allah bi rahmati Amin. And this text, this is a very short text. I can complete this text in one sitting. However, I'm going to try to do it in three classes, inshallah. It's called Umdat'l Ubaad, the support of the servants of Allah. And this text is one of the, like I said, it's one of the four Umdats of Shaykh Uthman and Fodio. And this text deals with specifically with ibadat, with ibadah, and everything that's that concerns the matters and highly recommended, which everyone should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with from the salah, from the fasting, siyam, from the tilawat of Quran, recitation of Quran, dhikr, invocations, or remembrance of Allah, and sadaqah, right? Charity. Says the poor slave in need of the mercy of his Lord, Uthman ibn Muhammad ibn Uthman, who was famously known as Dan Fodio. To call him Allah bi rahmati, I mean, Allah Ta'ala envelop him in his mercy. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is the support of the servants of Allah. These acts of worship, which are established upon moderation, as indicated by the hadith and the practice of the Salaf. I pray that everyone who participates in these classes that I give, that y'all remember me in your dua. Remember me in your dua, and remember Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio to Qadam Allah bi rahmati Amin in your dua as well. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us to benefit from his works and put his works into action. So we'll be practicing the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in word and deed through his route. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said in the hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, or one of them, that whoever it is necessary for every person, pious person, that he not abandon this knowledge, nor did he abandon the actions in accordance with this knowledge. For truly importance is great, and their importance is great, and their reward is extensive. and there are no ease. They are easy to perform. Whoever devotes himself to what is in this text and other texts, uh, and takes some benefit from it, make dua for the sheikh. Right? It is narrated in Sahih Muslim on the authority of Abu Darda, radiallahu anhu. All right, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the supplication of an individual Muslim for his brother who is absent is answered. And I remember when I was living in Ethiopia. I hadn't started living there yet. I think I had just visited for the first time, and brothers was making dua, asking me to make dua for them. I stayed there for some time on my first visit, and I remember mentioning to, at the time, my brother-in-law, that the one who makes dua for this hadith, the one who supplicate for his brother, his supplication is answered, right? So he reminded me, and other brothers reminded me, to make dua for them. And to continue with the hadith, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, there sits at his head, an angel charged with his needs. Whenever he supplicates for blessings for his brother, the angel charged with his needs and affairs says Amin, and the like for you. So it's very important that we keep up the practice of establishing the salah, right? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, in the salati tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, that indeed the salah will divert you from committing grievous wrongdoing actions, right? And it was one time when a companion came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was complaining of his brother. He said, my brother, he establishes the prayer, he pays the zakat, he prays his fara'id, his nafils, his sunnah, but he drinks. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, he said that if what you say about your brother is true, referring to establishing a prayer, he said that the salah will eventually prevent him from that. And what it also reminded me one time that it was one time when I was younger. I'm a lot older now, but I was younger, and I was trying to deen, but I was in the streets at the same time. So one of my old timers, he came to me. May Allah Ta'ala fortify him and grant him release and free him from the alien civilization. He had said, whatever it is that you do, right? He's a young buck. That's Chicago slang. You know what I'm saying? As we say, that's part of El Rukani's temple talk. He said, young buck, he said, whatever it is that you do, never stop going to Jumu'ah, and whenever you can, try to make your prayers. Whatever it is that you do, right? So that kind of stuck with me. So when Allah Ta'ala got me to the point to where I waved my white flag, so I surrendered. I gave up the streets. So I gave it up. I went cold turkey. And it was due to efforts of brothers who was going out doing khuruj, inviting Muslims to the masjid, inviting brothers back to the masjid for Amal Mu'amalat. And at this time, this was when this was one of the time I had met one of my main teachers, one of my primary teachers, and I had never told him or anyone at the masjid where I lived. So I think I hadn't been to the masjid for a couple of days, and they came to visit me. And I think it was like a few hours before Salat al-Asr. As a matter of fact, I think they prayed Dhuhr, they went and got something to eat, got some coffee, and then they came to my house. So when they rung my doorbell, so I was laying down. I was actually laying down. I was got up to use the bathroom, and it just so happened I went to go make wudu. So my auntie, she was like, you got Muhammad, you got some visitors at the door. All right, someone's waiting for you downstairs. So I go to the window to see who it is, and it's the sheikh and a couple of brothers. So I was like, man, subhanallah, mashallah, like, I'll be right down. He was like, you coming to the masjid? Like, yeah. I was going to make wudu as y'all was ringing the doorbell. So I went and made wudu, came down. That was the last day of me being in the streets. I went straight to the masjid. All right. So the salah is important. As the Shaykh we had mentioned here, he says, as for that which is highly recommended concerning the salah, he quoted Sidi Ahmed Zarruq al-Fahzi, rahmatullah alayh, which he said in his Umdat'l Murid al-Sadiq, that you should pray. He's talking about the salah that's connected to the fara'id. He said you should pray 6 rakats during the Dhuhr prayer, 4 rakats before the Fard prayer, and 2 rakats after the Fard prayer. 4 rakats before Dhuhr, and 2 rakats after. He said, as for the 4 rakats, there's 4 rakats that should be prayed before Asr prayer. This was related by a Nasa'i from a hadith related to Ali ibn Abi Talib, Karamallahu wajh, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that. That's what he did. He prayed 4 rakats before Dhuhr, prayed the Dhuhr, and he prayed 2 rakats after. He prayed 4 rakats before Asr, and he prayed Salat al-Asr. He says this is the hadith. This hadith is Hasan, with various chains concerning it in the Sahih collection and others. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he continued. He says after Maghrib. No, Ahmed Zarruq al-Fahzi. He continued. He said after Maghrib, 2 rakats should be prayed. This is in accordance with the sunnah of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and others who are unanimous concerning its acceptability. During the night, you should perform 13 rakats. And this is on the authority of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and Aisha radiallahu anhum ajma'in. Alayhi salam. Aisha radiallahu anhum ajma'in. She said, alayhi salam, she said, as related in Sahih al-Bukhari, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam never exceeded 11 rakats, either in Ramadan or in any other month, after which he would pray with him. So in the as it relates to Isha, we pray Salatul Isha, and then we pray the witr, the two shafi, and then the witr. However, there is a nawafil, right, between Maghrib and Isha, and there's a nawafil between Subh and Dhuhr, right? The nawafil between Subh and Dhuhr is Duha, Salatul Duha, and the nawafil in between Maghrib and Isha is Salatul Awami. All right, so Duha, it consists of 8 rakats, and Awabim is consists of 6 rakat in units of 2. But this hadith from Aisha radiallahu anha, this hadith is also mentioned in the Risala in the section of Siyam. All right, in the fasting in the Risala. The ulama say that this praying of 13 or 11 rakats is qiyam layl or tahajjud, right? Tahajjud, because some say that, you know, saying that Tarawih, she was talking about Tarawih, but she's not talking about Tarawih, because you only pray Tarawih in Ramadan. You don't pray Tarawih outside of Ramadan, but you do pray Qiyam al-Layl, and you pray Tahajjud in and outside Ramadan. So this is what she is talking about, right? Some of the scholars believe that this is better than standing the entire night, because the Prophet ﷺ will not choose for himself except what is best. He said, I am foremost in knowledge of Allah and in fear of him, and more in fear of him than you. And there is the hadith of there's the sunnah of 2 rakats, the sunnah of two rakats before the subh. The 2 rakats before the subh in the Maliki school, that is the fajr, right? The fard of the morning is salatul subh, right? And that the shaykh, he said, and which is so well known that it does not require mentioning. Now, I want to touch on the witr and the 2 rakats before salatul subh. As it relates to the witr prayer, the witr prayer is sunnah mu'akkada, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he never left it. All right, he never left praying the witr prayer. There's a narration where the Prophet ﷺ, he said that those who do not pray the witr prayer are not from us, meaning that they are not from the people who pray the witr prayer. Now the sunnah before the sunnah prayers before salatul subh, they are sunnah rafi. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. They're sunnah raqid, where, you know what I'm saying, that not only did the Prophet ﷺ never left them, but their merit is the merit of these 2 rakats is so weighty that even if you miss, like say if you wake up and you miss the soup, you know, if you wake up and the sun is already risen and it's been risen for like 30 minutes, it's still recommended to pray them 2 rakats before making up the fard, right? I mean, other than that, if you don't make them, you're not it's not punishable, right? But it's meritorious that you go ahead, that you make them as well. I mean, it's as though that they're not separate from the soup prayer, right? They're with it, and consequently, when what was previously mentioned from the supererogatory prayers is added to the obligatory prayers, they amount to 50 rakats, right? All of the sunnahs, the nawafil, the fard, all of them together, it amounts to 50 rakats, which originally, when the Prophet ﷺ went to did Isra and Miraj, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet ﷺ, when he gave him the prayer, originally we were supposed to do 50 rakats, right? 50 prayers, right? The When it was conduced down to 5, after the second time, the third time going up and coming down, we had five salah. And the reward, the reward for them is like praying 50. So the the salah is what separates us uh from the Muslim from the non-Muslim, right? So we have to establish the prayer. I don't know about anyone else, but I know for me, if I pray a salah late or I miss a prayer, my day is like jacked up. I mean, it's like jacked up, right? So even with taking an exam, it's time for the prayer and I got wudu, I will stop taking the exam and I will pray. Then I'll jump back into the exam and finish the exam. Um, that's how important the salah is. It's more important than that. Even like with my places of employment, I got a saying. It ain't a saying. It's an actual fact. If I can't pray here, I can't work here. Bottom line, if I can't pray here, I can't work here. I mean, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, uh, in my employment, he put so much barakah in it that there is designated a designated masala for the Muslims at my job, wudu stations and everything, right? Prayer room, everything. I mean, so there's no excuse for you missing a prayer. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Before, sometimes they would give us uh, um, accommodation for the Eid, for the holidays. Sometimes they won't. But one thing that they're consistent with is that they're consistent with allowing us to pray while we're on the job. The other thing too is with Juma, the same thing. If I can't make Juma, I can't work here. So I haven't worked on a Friday. I've been living in Philadelphia for like 9 years this year. I've never worked on a Friday, right? In that time for Juma, unless it was a situation to where I was in training and I couldn't make it, or I was taking care of someone, or I worked hours later that evening, Friday night. But during that time for Salatul Juma, I've never worked. It's probably like maybe 2 cases or maybe 3 cases in different times. You mean where I worked or I was busy doing Salatul Juma. All right. Um, as for Siyam, fasting, as for what is highly recommended from fasting, Ahmed Zaruk, rahimullah, he further says in his Umdat'l Murid al Sadiq, as for fasting, the least of what one should do as a constant practice is fasting 3 days in every month. Uh, it it is, however, disliked that it should be done on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the month consecutively. So Imam Malik, rahimahullah, may Allah be pleased with him, used to fast one day in the beginning of the month, one day in the middle of the month, and one day in the last of the month. The middle course with regard to fasting is the fasting of every Monday and Thursday. That the Prophet ﷺ preferred fasting during those days, Monday and Thursday. And the sunnah regarding fasting during these days is sahih. Ibn Rushd and Qadi Iyad, rahmatullah alayh, have both mentioned Monday and Thursdays among the days in which fasting is highly recommended. The highest level of fasting one should do is the fast of Dawood, alayhi salatu wasalam, which is fasting every other day, fasting one day and not fasting the next. And this is well known. The thing about ibadah in the Maliki school is that when you begin an act of ibadah, it's supposed to become a weird or awrad. You mean a lengthening, meaning that you consistently do it. If you start fasting Monday and Thursday, you're consistent with it. Every Monday and Thursday you fast. You make a particular dhikr that you do or tilawat of Quran at a particular time. Every day at that time, you make that particular dhikr or you read the tilawat of Quran. All right. So it becomes, once you begin an action of worship, you don't leave it. That's the mu'amalat of our school. Tilawat al-Quran, recitation of Quran. As for what is highly recommended, and I'm going to end the class here after this portion. And inshallah ta'ala, next Thursday, the same time, inshallah, next Thursday, it will start on time. Today, I got kind of a little bit of a late start because on the streaming app that I use, I had some updates that I haven't updated it since I got the updates for a few months. So when I was setting up the class and everything, I had to do the update. Like right now, I can't see any other comments. I could see the people, see that it's 4 people watching. One person, they hearted it. I would like some more likes, more thumbs, and more hearts if possible. And I would like that you share the class on your platforms. Subscribe to the channels if you haven't already done so on YouTube, and keep this Facebook and YouTube algorithm going. All right, so as it relates to tilawat of Quran, as for what is highly recommended from recitation of the Quran, Ahmed Zarruq, rahimahullah, has mentioned in his Umdat'l Ubaad al-Sadiq. As for the recitation of the Quran, its middle course is that it should be completed once every 10 days, or at most once a month. All right. The least is that it should be completed once in 2 months. The maximum is that it should be completed once in every 3 days. All the above is sound and in accordance with what has been related from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, with the completing the recitation of Quran, I know of a method where you can complete the reading of the Quran in 7 days, right? However, the right that the Quran have on us is maximum is that we is at the well, not its maximum, at a minimum is that we complete its reading once a month. In Ramadan, um, in Ramadan, we it's the month of the Quran, so we must read the Quran as much as possible in the month of Ramadan. I know people who have completed they complete the reading of the Quran 5 times in Ramadan, 3 times in Ramadan, 4 times in Ramadan. They complete his reading, including recitation in Salatul Tarawih. Right now, with being consistent with completing the Quran and these methods that I mentioned, that many of the spiritual illnesses and sicknesses that we possess in our character and in our hearts will eventually and gradually leave from our from our makeup, from our behavior as being part of our character. Any practice that that you do consistently and 40 days exceed after 40 exceeding 40 days, this is a part of your character now. So being an individual who Allah Ta'ala gives the ability to complete the reading of the Quran every month, or complete it in 3 days, or complete it in 10 days, or complete it in 2 months consistently, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala purifies and heals this individual, right? Spiritually and psychologically, right? He heals this person because the Quran is a healing, right? There are also many siru that's in the Quran, right? There's many siru that's in the Quran, many ayats that, what I'm saying, there's siru, that many surahs that there's siru related to them, and something some something some siru is, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uh puts barakah in them, right? He puts barakah in them, from the person making the effort to be consistent in using these ayats and surahs in their recitation, or in their reading, or um in their awrad. All right, so um to be a person who's a person of the Quran, then they would develop and they adopt the practice of reading the Quran every day, right? If they don't complete it, uh, complete the reading of the Quran once a month, or 7 days, 10 days, 3 days, however, at least read something from the Quran every day. All right, read surahs of your choice. You mean Surah Yasin, Surah Waqia, Surah Mulk, Surah Muzammil, Surah Rahman. What I'm saying, along with what you recite in the Salah. All right, so um, this concludes the class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. Ameen. I don't know how many people are here, so like the video, share the video, and next week, inshallah, I'll start on time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.